Hello everyone, Kate here from Keight Krafts, sharing with you another project for Hollow Tree Hobbies. Let's get started. So to kick things off, I'm going to be doing a little bit of splattering on a panel that has been cut down to 4 by 5 1/4, and we are going to go in with some Ballet Slipper and Bubblegum by Fawn, and we're going to throw in some water, mess that around, and then we are going to splatter all over our panel in this really pretty pink. And once we've had enough of the pink, we are going to go ahead and go in with some of this Forget-Me-Not, which I think this is probably my favorite blue ink by Fawn. I don't know what it is. It's just a very pretty blue, and it's even prettier when you match it with this Grape Jelly. And I love the red undertone to this purple. Actually, I think it's the color of my hair right now. So I'm going to go all over our panel with this final color, and once I'm satisfied with how much I have splattered all over, we are going to go in with some ink blending on our die cut. Now off camera I have gone ahead and cut the lovely Latte die into some Nina Solar white paper, and we are going to ink blend in this bubble gum all over the outline of it, and then we are going to bring in that purple later. So once I am satisfied with the amount of pink that we've gone all over our little die cut here, we are going to go into the middle of this darker with the bubble gum, and then we'll kind of fade it out to a gradient. And my idea behind this was that if you had enough pink on the background, the white wouldn't entirely show through if you missed a little with the darker color of purple. And that's all I'm doing here, is I'm just giving it a little bit of a shadow with a darker color purple. Now, you could use a darker pink to do this, but I really, really liked the look of the pink with the gradient of purple over top of it once everything had dried and set. And yeah, I was just so happy about how this card came together with these three colors. I don't know, it was just, at first it was kind of like, meh, I don't know. And then once I added all the details in, it was like, oh my god, yes. So next we are going to go in with some dough ink, and then we'll use the walnut ink to kind of give it a bit of a gradient. Now, I'm not sure that I really saw a difference from this because it's kind of a similar ink. I mean, maybe if I had a little bit more space to work with, the two of them would be a little bit different, but I tried really hard to like it, but it just ended up coming out one color. So maybe if you're going to recreate this, either use the walnut or the dough ink, and you'll see why I did that in a minute. So once I've gotten that down, the outline down and glued down, we're going to go ahead and puzzle piece all the little bits and bobs in. So I'll go ahead and add a layer of glue, pick up the little bits with the pokey stick and the pokey tool, I should say, and use the pokey bit to hold down the bits with the pokey tool. And then we'll add those guys in, and then you can kind of see off to the left there that I have those little tiny mouthpiece, eyepiece, and little cute little cheeks that I'd colored in with some alcohol markers. So once I've gone ahead and I have glued down these adorable little cheeks, we are going to move on to the next phase, which is the little dollop of cream. Now I'm taking just a smidgen of dough ink here, and not dough ink, I should say, this is butter. This is butter ink, so we're taking a bit of butter ink, and I have a little bit of dough ink still left on my table here. I guess I didn't wash it off completely because I realized that this was just a smidge darker than I wanted it to be, which is why I'm just going around the edges and not totally filling it out. So once I'm happy with that, we are going to just kind of lightly touch on that, on the outline I should say, and then we are going to take the back piece and glue everything together much like we did the cup. So we'll add some glue to the center pieces, grab our little pokey tool, move things around to where they're nice and snug, and then we'll add a little bit of pressure. And because I had this inside piece here for where the coffee would be, I thought I would just kind of use it as a makeshift saucer. So I've gone in with some of that Forget-Me-Not, and then I have a bit of this grape jelly still left on my brush, and I thought I would go in the center of that for, just add a little bit of detail. And then next, I have Henry's ABCs that I've cut the word out with thanks, and I have used some low-tack tape on the back of my sheet here just to hold them all in place so I can do a little ink blending. Now, hindsight is always 20/20, And I end up making a mistake with this, which I will show you in just a bit and tell you a bit of why I was a little hasty. So anyway, we are going to go in with that bubble gum, and then we'll go in again with the grape jelly along the bottom. And then once I'm satisfied with the gradient there, we are going to take in some of the blue, so that forget-me-not blue. So you got this really cool gradient between the pink and the purple and the blue, and I don't know, I really like these colors. They kind of reminded me a little of the 90s, like some Lisa Frank stickers or something. Anyway, so I just want to make sure that I have a really good gradient with that pink color, which is the bubble gum, and then I'm going to go and make sure that I have a decent gradient with the blue as well. So I'll make sure to add enough of that, and then once I'm satisfied with the amount of blue that I've touched the tops there, we'll set that aside to dry. So next I had these scraps from a previous card that I'd worked on, and these are from the Stripes and Sprinkles paper pack by Fawn. So I'd had a couple of these little tiny strips here, and I want to say they're maybe a quarter of an inch. And we're just going to line those up as best as we can to the top. And that panel right there that I'm working with, I want to say it's about 1.5 inches. So once I've lined that back up again, I'm going to lie that other little tiny thin strip right there. And because I had a little bit of the forget-me-not left on my brush, I thought I would add a little bit more interest to our panel that is now dry, and just take the excess residue off of my brush by going around with the forget-me-not that's left over. And that just kind of ties your eye in, and like draws your eye into the center of the card. That way we could add our little panel here. Now I'm going to line everything up to see how I like it. We are going to add a little bit of our tape runner here, and we are going to double stick with some liquid glue, and then we'll line our panel back up, and we'll use our grid just to eyeball where that needs to be and give it a mash down. Now off camera I'd cut a little sliver of paper to keep an even playing field to glue down that little dollop of whipped cream. And then we'll add a little bit of glue to the bottom of our plate here, and we'll give that a mash down. Now, I forgot to add a little bit of the dough ink into the center here, and I'm just going to use a little bit of my low-tack tape to mask off where I don't want it to go. And this is just going to draw your eye in further into the card, I think. So once I'm satisfied with the amount that I forgot to put on, it is time to glue everything down. Now I've got the letters that I've cut out, just kind of holding there, just give me an eyeball of where I need to be, give that a mash down, and then we'll peel those guys up, and we're going to add our glue. Now, I really wish I wasn't quick to jump the gun with this. I wish I would have gave this a little bit of time to dry, but I wanted to finish this, and I really didn't want to do the dishes. So we end up having a little bit of a problem in a minute. So while we're sitting that off to the side, I'm going to go and take in that forget-me-not, and we are just going to go around our panel that is just smaller than 4.25 by 5.5. I want to make sure that I have like a hairline of the blue when I mount that on, and then like when I mount it onto the white card base. You'll see in a minute. So here's my big mistake. So I did not wait until it was all dry, and I ripped it up. And this whole time I'm thinking, just keep going, just keep going. We'll figure it out in a second. And once I've got my glue on here, I think, you know what? I'll just cut out those letters again. We'll just cut them out again, and I won't go ahead and color them in. We're just going to leave them white. That way you can have that little back shadow to them, the little drop shadow with the colors of the inks poking through. Just subtle. And I thought that this was a very nice save, because at this point it was like you're in the home stretch and you rip your paper, and it's like you want to throw it out because you just dropped your letter. Luckily, it wasn't glue side up. So this was like a super save for me, and I was quite happy with it. And honestly, I don't know what I liked better, if I liked it without the white or if I liked it with the white. Now, I didn't get to see it without the white in all my little highlights and stuff like that. So with the white, it looks really cool. I think, am I saying this right? Do you follow along? Let me know in the comments below if I make sense and if you understand. And speaking of the comments below, in the description box below, I will make sure to leave a link to the Hollow Tree Hobbies website with everything that I've used in today's project. And yeah, I'm quite thrilled with this one, and I can't believe how easy this was to save. And it was rounding bedtime, as you can see, and I'm getting a little like, oh my god, this needs to be done. And yeah, so I'm quite happy with how this one turned out. I'm usually not somebody who gravitates towards dyes, but I wanted to push myself out of that comfort zone, and it was fun. It was fun. The ink blending almost looks like I colored it in with alcohol markers, but I didn't, especially when you look closer up to it. You can see the difference of the effect that the ink dyes have to it. And I would advise waiting until it's been sitting for a couple of hours, just resting, because I think my problem with my gel pens is that I'm coloring over top of not so dry ink. I mean, you touch this and it's dry, but the way the paper is saturated, that it's just slightly dampened. And I think maybe that's might be my problem with my gel pen. So I don't know, that could be an experiment to try out to see if you let it sit overnight and then go over it with some gel pen. That might work as well. Or I probably could have took a break at this point and gone and done the dishes or made lunches, but sometimes adulting gets trumped by crafting because crafting is my happy place. And once I'm done with all of these little gel pen marks, I think what I'll do next is I will bring in my Sakura Stardust pen. And we are just going to add some extra highlights. Now, this is one of my new favorite things, using the Sakura pen, the Stardust pen, as a highlighter in replace of the white gel pen. Now, you could go over this with the white gel pen, but unfortunately, white on white doesn't necessarily show up, and I really like the little bit of sparkle that this gives. So once I'm done going around all of the letters, I think I'm going to do a little controlled twinkle, so to speak. So we are going to assess our little situation here, and we are going to just add little tiny dots of the Sakura Stardust pen within the splatter. So it just kind of looks like you splattered it, but not really, because it's kind of a controlled splatter, if you will. And you could also do this with snowflakes for winter cards too, which I find is really nice. So once I've done that, I'll add a little bit to our yellow here, some dots and dashes, and of course we'll add a couple of down here on the bottom. It doesn't matter how many or how little or even or odd, you just put to whenever your heart's content. And once I'm done that, all I have left to do is put our card onto a card base. So I'm just going to make sure that everything lines up to where I need it to be, and I have that little sliver of white border with the blue. And then we are just going to add some liquid glue to the back of this, and going around the edges, careful not to get it too much. I just want enough to be able to stick this down and those edges not come up. So we're going to write Hollow Tree Hobbies, and then we'll stand above our project, make sure that everything lines up and we've got that little white sliver going around our border. And once that's done, our card is complete. I really hope that you enjoyed today's project. If so, give this video a like and subscribe. And as always, thanks for hanging out with me today. Take care.